All week, I've been paying attention to the entire community and getting everybody's opinion on this wild card rule that is now in place on Raw and SmackDown. I love the fact that I've been so upfront and honest with everybody. I've never strayed the course. I remained very straightforward with you guys. You know what you're going to get when you come here. You're not going to come here and you're not going to see me get on my hands and knees and suck the WWE corporate dick. I tell you what it is. I tell you what's going on. I tell you if it's good. And I tell you if it's bad. I find it funny how WWE named it the Wild Card. They named it the Wild Card. When I think of Wild Card, I think of last-ditch effort. You're at the end of your rope. No more chips for you on this game of poker. You're going all in, and you're going to win the jackpot, or you're going to fail, and then scurry off into the Las Vegas night and take home a $20 hooker. The Wild Card. WWE knows they are at the end of their fucking excuses bin. No more excuses. Write better stories. Develop professional wrestling characters. This is what needs to be done. Remember that. Write better stories. WWE split the rosters in 2016. I'm not sure if this was something that was needed then. I don't remember the landscape of the rosters between Raw and SmackDown then. Clearly, they have more star power now than they did back in 2016. I guess we can look back at it and say maybe it was needed. I'm not sure if this was something that was requested by USA Network, being that SmackDown Live was going to be live every single week after being taped for many, many, many years. I never watched it taped. I hated it taped. It just felt very unnatural to me. And USA Network wanted a hard reboot of SmackDown Live. Unique rosters, SmackDown with its own stars, own brand, own identity, away from Monday Night Raw. Everything was going great. And SmackDown Live was producing some of the best main roster shows that the company had done up until that point in a very long time. And they did it without much of a star-studded roster. Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch held that women's division together. Heath Slater, Rhino, Baron Corbin, Apollo Crews. You had The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, John Cena, and AJ Styles to round out the top of the card. After the draft, the one common thing uttered in the community was that Raw killed SmackDown in the draft. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I know for a fact everybody shit on SmackDown, and man, did that quickly turn around because they wrote better shows. Raw took most of the top stars, and SmackDown, though live, was left with a lot of developing stars. SmackDown was looked at as an incubation system. You're playing Pokemon Go and you get an egg. And you hatch it. And whatever Pokemon comes out, boom. You train it, you mold it, you level it up. That's SmackDown Live. You get it ready for whatever fucking gym you're going to battle in, and boom. You put them on Monday Night Raw to compete with the big boys. That is what SmackDown Live looked like. That was the whole premise of SmackDown Live. Look at the shows that SmackDown put on during the summer of 2016 through the last week of December. I remember it like it was fucking yesterday. That last SmackDown of 2016 was as if it was a pay-per-view show. This is when WWE had split-branded pay-per-views. One for Raw, one for SmackDown. SmackDown didn't have a pay-per-view in December. So they had 8 or 9 weeks to go before we got to the Royal Rumble. They didn't have a pay-per-view for themselves. I believe it was TLC that year, which went to the Raw brand. So what did SmackDown Live do? They made that last episode of SmackDown Live for 2016 a pay-per-view quality show. In fact, I'm mentioning this now. I'm going to go back and watch it later tonight on the WWE Network just to get a feel for writing better shows. That's what they did. They were excellent. Every show that they put on was excellent. A focus on writing, Rarely was there anything on TV that did not make sense. Things were continued from show to show and not forgotten or dropped because of management wanting to go in another direction haphazardly. Character development that played out over the last 6 months of the year that resulted in us, the fans, wanting to watch. Dolph Ziggler said he would retire if he couldn't win the Intercontinental title from The Miz. He put a huge spotlight on the Intercontinental title, and when he won that title back, man, was that a great conclusion to an overall great story in which it took Dolph Ziggler every fucking ounce of passion and dedication he's put into this sport to show why he is the best and why the Intercontinental title should not be on The Miz's waist. Absolutely fantastic. That resulted in The Miz's best work to date, probably in the entirety of his career. We had our man, the one guy people looked at as the modern day Shawn Michaels, AJ Styles, the WWE champion, the guy who's going to go in there and give you the work rate that Shawn Michaels did. We had a tag team that was randomly paired together in Heath Slater and Rhino that captured the hearts of everyone and did something that nobody would have ever predicted, and they won the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships. Why was it so easy just a mere 3 years ago, but today WWE struggles to do anything right? Was it because Vince McMahon was less hands-on? Did Triple H really have some of his team working on SmackDown Live, being that it was looked at as the true B show and Vince couldn't really get his hands dirty with that? He wanted to concentrate more on Monday Night Raw, the self-proclaimed, by the way, A show. What happened when they all seen the positive praise that SmackDown was getting week in and week out? Everything went downhill and nothing was the same after the Elimination Chamber where Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship. Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal won the title and Vince had poisoned SmackDown Live. The wild card rule in theory is, and I don't want to use the word exciting, because WWE, nothing is exciting in WWE. WWE does not elicit excitement. And the only thing that is exciting in WWE is when you watch NXT or an NXT takeover, and that's simply because Vince McMahon isn't a part of NXT. That's where the solution is to all of your problems. The wild card rule was something that was not thought out. At what point did WWE stop and think, if the top guys on SmackDown are not drawing numbers, why would they draw numbers on Raw? If Roman Reigns was such a big draw on Raw, then they effectively immediately moved him to SmackDown Live, where all of those people who love Roman Reigns so much, why aren't you watching him on SmackDown Live? Don't you think Roman would boost SmackDown Live's ratings? He didn't, and he won't. He actually made things worse. And to be fair, it's just not him. It's everyone on the roster, and it's not their fault. You have killed any reason to tune into SmackDown and to Raw. If I'm going to see Roman Reigns on Raw every week because of USA complaining, which they did, USA complained that Monday Night Raw didn't have top guys like Roman Reigns anymore. And this is a direct cause of Rousey not being there and Brock Lesnar coming back early when we don't really want to see Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns was the cherry on top of the cake. USA asks, why is Roman on SmackDown Live? WWE does the wild card, and Roman is now on Raw and SmackDown. If I'm going to see Roman on Raw every week because of the USA Network complaining, wanting him on Raw, why would I tune in to see him on SmackDown knowing that I could see him on Raw? Same goes for AJ, same goes for Seth, same goes for Bryan, same goes for Kofi. On top of that, the storylines that you have these guys in, not just Roman Reigns, are not exciting at all. I want to care about what a character is doing. I don't give a shit as to why Roman Reigns is feuding with Shane McMahon and the McMahon family. In fact, I don't even think we have a reason why Roman Reigns is feuding with the McMahon family. It's just there for the simple fact that people associate with the McMahons as villains, and it's another way to try and get Roman looked at in a positive light. I mentioned this on SmackDown Live Tuesday. Who is making these decisions? Is it Vince McMahon himself? Is he handpicking them weekly from Titan Tower? If he is he sending out a tweet saying that they are coming to Raw and SmackDown this week? If they are, what business do they have being on those shows? And do they fit into the overall storyline arc that you are trying to tell? More than likely, none of this was done, which in turn, you're trotting out superstars, and fans have no interest in these superstars simply because you think they're big enough stars, which in reality, they are not, because your neglect over the years and years of damaging behavior has gotten to an all-time high, which, again, I stated, fans don't give a shit because the damage has been done. You can't give 2 unadvertised WWE Championship matches away for the sake of a ratings Hail Mary pass in the fourth quarter. You have to get people invested in why it is happening and why those superstars are there to begin with. You don't think the fans are intelligent enough to realize that, well, Kofi Kingston doesn't have any business on Monday Night Raw. Why is he defending the title against AJ Styles? Why is he defending the title against Daniel Bryan? Daniel Bryan was out for a month. There's no more rematch clauses, but here he is, not working for a title shot and getting a title shot based off a rematch clause that apparently doesn't exist anymore. You don't think fans are wise enough to realize what's going on? Or why AJ is on SmackDown Live getting a championship match when he's actually feuding with Rollins over the Universal Championship and Rollins was nowhere to be found on Tuesday night? Why Sami Zayn is getting a title match when he hasn't wrestled all but once against Finn Balor on the night after WrestleMania? Nothing makes sense. We try to make sense of it. We try to give WWE a pass. Oh, they're trying to build up Kofi. Oh, they're trying to make Kofi a credible champion. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. At the end of the day, it's another excuse and another problem that you're sweeping under the WWE rug. What about your undercard talent? Did anybody in Titan Tower think about this one? Vince is a genius, though, right? What about your undercard talent? Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Mustafa Ali, Andrade, Cien Almas, Apollo Crews, Luke Harper, Cedric Alexander, Buddy Murphy, who is a secret, apparently, in WWE. He's not the best kept secret. He is the secret, which you'll never see. Like he's a fucking puzzle that you're supposed to solve in The Legend of Zelda. You won't find the key. You won't find the key to this dungeon because you don't know where it is. Buddy Murphy, Robert Roode, Fandango, EC3, Mojo Rawley, Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin. The list goes on and on. Is this wild card rule going to accommodate them as well? What about tag teams? We've seen the Usos on SmackDown, but does that mean we will see the War Raiders show up on SmackDown as well? Does that mean we will see the Authors of Pain on SmackDown Live? I'll get back to that in a second. More than likely, we will not. You are simply using this wild card rule to cover up your failures, to cover up the fact that you have not done what you needed to do, and now you need to feature top-tier talent in hopes something generates interest, while at the same time taking TV time away from what should have been split rosters and an opportunity for more to grow and get exposure, ultimately taking that time and opportunity away to cover up all of the failures because of ratings. You're pretty much doing them dirty, and you're going to overexpose all of your top-tier talents. At the same time, you're burying the mid-card and you're taking opportunities away from the mid-card. Meanwhile, at the same time, you're going to overexpose your top stars by featuring them on Monday and Tuesday night, where in the beginning, they were only on separate brands and we'd see them once a night or in one segment. Now we might see them in 2, 3, 4 segments a show. Not really all that smart, WWE. Becky Lynch is feeling the effects of your overexposure, and it's not working out too well for her right now. The vicious cycle continues, and how many of those mid-card talents are already disgruntled with their current position? Did you at all think what this would do to their morale before it was even implemented? Of course you didn't, because why would you? You think more Roman and more AJ and more Lars and more Seth and more Kofi is the answer. when in actuality, it's going to remain the same. Worst case, get even worse than it is now. All Elite. What? Oh, the t-shirt company. I'm sorry. Man, the fabric in those t-shirts must be fucking unbelievable, man. Soft as fucking a baby's ass. What would happen if Mustafa Ali, who was a SmackDown guy, beat Samoa Joe for the United States title? Which both of them are on Raw. Does that mean that Ali stays on SmackDown? Does he move to Raw? Does that mean Joe moves back to SmackDown since Ali is the champ and you can't have two mid-card titles on the same show? Do they both stay on Raw, leaving SmackDown with neither of their talents? These situations more than likely won't happen because this wild card rule will appease the top stars in the company and neglect the mid-card. But am I wrong for asking such questions? From what we understand, the wild card rule applies to everyone, so I am in my given right to question why these probabilities were not touched upon. The superstar shakeup and everything that you did 4 weeks ago, was a complete waste of television. Everything you did as far as shuffling the rosters around has absolutely no value whatsoever. So thank you for wasting all of our time for the superstar shakeup. What happens to the Survivor Series? In my opinion, the entire concept is now wasted. There's no brand warfare anymore. If top guys are going to be featured on both shows, why would anyone think that their inclusion in brand warfare or a champion versus champion match is special anymore? If AJ is on Raw going back to SmackDown, he's got obviously no issue with the SmackDown brand, so why the fuck am I going to be invested in a brand warfare situation with AJ Styles battling for Raw against SmackDown? And everybody in that same situation. They're already mingling with a rival brand on a weekly basis, and I'm sure whatever you do at the pay-per-view will have already been done already at that point. You took something that actually was special and killed it without even thinking about the consequences of your actions. I'm sorry, did anybody else raise this fucking point in the community? I'm sorry if I'm being too negative on the new rule, or I'm too negative on the WWE product. Blow me! The wild card rule didn't need to happen. I've said this for years. The only thing that WWE had to do was merge the women's and tag team divisions, the men's tag team divisions, to give the show more star power. Focus on getting the women's division right after Ronda went home. It's been embarrassing. Concentrate on tag team wrestling instead of sending the Usos out there with fucking Usi hot to embarrass the Revival. Two of the greatest tag teams on this earth at your fingertips, and you rather recreate MTV's Jackass with all four men. WWE just can't swallow their pride and merge both divisions. I don't understand why, because you know for a simple fucking fact that the wildcard rule will not go to a team like Ryder and Hawkins, because that's a wasted spot for a top guy. And so on and so forth. The wildcard rule was implemented because of WWE's failures to create top stars and because of the sinking ratings week in and week out. Yes, there are other sporting events going on when Monday Night Raw is on against the likes of the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs, and in the fall with NFL, Monday Night Football. These events were also going on back when WWE was at the peak of its popularity as well, drawing sold-out crowds literally everywhere, and fans couldn't wait to get home from work and school and watch what was going to happen on Monday Night Raw. Raw is war. The NBA and the NHL and the NFL and all sporting events have nothing to do with the ratings decline. It's typical WWE to point the finger of blame at someone but themselves. It's you! It's always been you, and the damage you have done over the years and years of neglect have finally caught up to you. And to be honest, I have no sympathy for you because I've sat here in this very chair every single year since the podcast has taken off and been a voice in this community who cares about what's going on, and you take every opportunity to shit on people like me. Now I'm the one pointing finger and pointing it at you. Instead of feeling sorry for you, I'm fucking laughing at every single one of you. WWE is the greatest collection of talent that they've ever seen walk through those doors. Talent that could main event and, yes, legit main event any pay-per-view they have and bring back some of the audience that has gone away. Give the talent the ball to grow and get into the eyes of the audience so where they could be top stars. I say it every week. I don't understand how one could look at this roster and not know how to book it correctly. Well, maybe that's just it. Maybe there's too much talent for WWE to know what to do with. Why is there so much talent? There's an overabundance of talent simply because WWE wants to be the only dog in the yard, but we all know, especially right now, that's not going to be. There are 4 brands with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK. They've tried desperately to sign as much talent as possible to keep them away from other promotions. All the way. Whoa! What's with this Elite? His fucking t-shirt company, says the clown on social media. Trying to keep them away from other promotions, eliminating said superstar, going somewhere else and making another promotion stronger, eliminating any threat of competition in every sense of the word. When you read reports of WWE wanting to sign Joey Ryan, why do you think that is? When you read reports of Rhino declining WWE's offer to take money just to sit at home so he don't go anywhere, why do you think that is? When you read reports of Toni Storm and Bea Priestley and their match for Stardom being canceled by WWE, why do you think that is? It's not difficult to figure out. They want to hoard talent. In Bea Priestley and Toni Storm's case, they don't want AEW talent mingling with WWE talent. Knowing they don't have any plans for every other situation I just mentioned. They don't have any plans for this talent. And in Toni Storm's instance, they don't want their talent mixing it up with another promotion's top star, in this case AEW, and WWE has to look weak or inferior to their competition. So with too much talent, NXT is a great starting point. What happens when you graduate NXT? The natural progression is the main roster in Raw and SmackDown. This is a revolving door that's been happening since NXT was transformed by Triple H. It was the sole reason for it. Build, mold from within, and your future and future shows will be better off for it. A simple method. It hasn't exactly worked out that way, being that WWE has this mentality of nobody can be bigger than the company itself, and the company needs to continue to be up front and center, growing its name and brand. They have pushed aside all of their talent, dumbed down the talent to a point where their appeal, or the appeal that they were supposed to have, never sees the light of day. WWE has handpicked and chosen who succeeds and who doesn't because of their brain-dead ways, and look at where they are now. Both of these rosters should be full. Both rosters should have flourishing characters and wrestlers spread across both. NXT was the key. Instead of making WWE the place where everyone wants to work, WWE has made it the place where you can make the most money, but also throw away everything you've worked so hard for to actually get this opportunity. Instead of making 2 separate rosters that we could all be proud of, WWE has made both rosters plain, ordinary, and unappealing. Remember when we sat in front of our TVs watching the Bret Harts and the Shawn Michaels of the world strut around with the Intercontinental Championship or the WWE Championship as it shined bright in the arena spotlight? We all wanted to be that. Now as adults, and as a smarter fan base, we want to have that feeling again, but in a much different way, in a creative way. We the fans want to be creatively satisfied. I want the edge of your seat Johnny Gargano-Adam Cole match at TakeOver New York, after a story of 2 years finally coming to an end with Johnny getting what he's always dreamed about, the NXT Championship. WWE has thrown it all away because they try so hard to please one man in Vince McMahon who rather kill his company than ask for help instead of respecting the process and respecting the WWE fan base. I don't know what else to tell you guys. The wild card rule is going to be a failure. The wild card rule is going to make everything much more chaotic, and it's not the answer to WWE's problems. The answer is simple. Write better shows. This entire roster needs a complete reset from top all the way to the bottom. A complete reset. There needs to be separate rosters. Now, I know I've mentioned end the brand split, but the only reason why I said that is because this is pretty much telling you that they're ending the brand split. I don't want there to be such a disrespect to the brand split. You either are all in on the brand split or you end it. So the fact that they did this, you might as well just fucking end it. I don't want them to end the brand split. I've been a fan of the brand split and have been pushing for the brand split ever since it was announced in 2016. It could work. They don't want it to work. You don't need this bullshit. Look yourselves in the mirror. You're the reason why nobody is over. You're the reason why nobody is watching. You're the reason why these divisions, from the women's to the tag to the mid-card, are dead. Dead. Not much needed to be done. Write better stories. Main event and mid-card on both shows. Tag team division, merge them, get them on both shows. You'll fill the dead time on Raw, and you'll get more talent on SmackDown Live, and vice versa. Women's divisions, merge the divisions. You got no division on Raw, and you got a heavy division on SmackDown Live. You got 3 hours of Raw and 2 hours of SmackDown Live. There's no reason why you can't feature these people on a week-to-week basis with 5 hours of fucking television. Write better stories. Literally nothing on Raw and SmackDown made any sense whatsoever. None. Unless you are a Becky Lynch and a Lacey Evans, or something that was already planned for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, as far as a top match perspective goes, nothing was pushed. Nothing. Not one peep about the Money in the Bank ladder match. Not one instance in which a guy came forth and said, I want to win Money in the Bank. I want to be the Universal or WWE champion. Not one. Not one. This is the neglect that this is simple neglect. This is the shit that WWE does. Because of their chaotic shit. Nothing is getting done. Fucking logic gaps everywhere. And then people still want to praise, oh, this is going to work, give it time. No, we've given it. And I'm dating back to 2016 when the rosters were first split. We've been giving WWE time every single week, 52 weeks a year for 3 years in a row now. Enough is enough. Get up off your fucking knees and wipe your fucking chin. Enough slobbering on the WWE corporate schlong. Please. This company is worse than I've ever seen it before. And something needs to be done. As a fan, I'm insulted. As a fan, I'm disrespected. As a fan, I feel much more stupid. As a fan, I don't want to be sitting here wasting my fucking breath talking about this shit when I know they don't give a fuck. Write better stories. Simple. Write better stories. How could you watch NXT? How could NXT have a WWE logo on it and operate as if it's a complete different entity, not associated with WWE? Why are some in the company doing it right and others just neglect and fail to do anything right? Get rid of Vince McMahon. Vince needs to go. There's a reason why Triple H liked and unliked a tweet by a fan saying, write better stories. Fan filled out all 140 characters in a tweet that Triple H liked last week on social media. You think that was by accident? No. Triple H knows, but he can't speak up against the old man, and nobody will speak up against the old man, and that's everybody's fucking problem. What are you so afraid of? What are you so afraid of? What is anyone in WWE afraid of? You have nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. I would rather someone fucking speak up about the shit that is going wrong because Vince has other fucking problems to be concerned with. Right there. You don't think the announcement of TNT coming next week on May 15th is going to fucking send shockwaves through WWE? That's what Vince should be worried about right there. Yet we got a fucking wild card rule that isn't going to do anything but make things worse. Speak up and write better shows. That's all that needs to be done. If you do that and you follow the NXT method, fans will come. Fans will care. Fans will be eager to watch on a week-to-week basis, and ratings will go up. It's simple. It's simple. You don't need to drag out the fucking wheelchair veterans. You don't need to fucking put women in the ring in bikini matches. Write better stories. That is all I have to say. This is Off the Script, episode 273. This is part number 1 for you Friday. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hit the intro. Got a lot of news tonight, man. Got a lot of news. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
5, delete! This is mine.
Alive with it. People still So last Sunday, I was at the NYC Arena in Queens for the Impact Code Red show. And I didn't stay the whole show. I left after my duties. The one thing that I seen going around on social media, and literally everything that I seen on social media, on Twitter, from every tweet that I read complaining about me being on the show, every single one of them was blocked. So I know it was nothing more than a ton of haters, a small group of haters that I've blocked on social media that are still salty, who know of my existence, who know what I do, who watch every show, who stalk my Twitter. The one thing, and this is where I was most disappointed in every single one of you, because I know you're watching. People legitimately thought I was signed, or I had signed, to Impact Wrestling. I found it very funny. Now, I was simply there, as you guys know, and this is why I said I'm disappointed. I do House of Glory play-by-play commentary. Now, if you watched me and you paid attention, you'd know that. It's in the fucking Twitter profile. So clearly, it's in our building. House of Glory is attached to the Impact name. It's a joint show. Why the fuck wouldn't I be on commentary? So I was on their streaming service, nervous as fuck. I didn't know whether to call myself Jerry or JD. At one point, I think I was going to call myself my first and last name, which I didn't do. After that, I sat down and eased into everything. Josh was very easy to work with. I got the memo. Before I sat down with him, we went over everything. It was very basic. I was not supposed to do play-by-play commentary, but I had to throw in a few things here and there on the stream to let you know what Ken Broadway's finishing move was, what Anthony Gangone's finishing move was. And I tried to educate while the match was going on at certain points. When, Josh wasn't saying anything, I called certain moves that are very signature to both Gangone and Broadway. Now, the match I called was Ken Broadway, Cashflow Ken Broadway, Anthony Gangone, our world champion, the House of Glory world champ, and Moose. Now, I got to the arena at like 4:30. My boss, Brian XL, he's a co-owner of House of Glory. He wanted to be there. He wanted to talk to me. He wanted to film some stuff for the YouTube channel. So I got there early. And I got to really thank Brian for having my back. I have to thank Big Hodge as well, Jason, and I have to thank Anthony Gangone as well. They've always had my back. They continue to have my back, and I'm happy to be working for them. But Brian really went to bat for me, and I really appreciate his efforts to really make me feel like I'm an important member of the team. I told Brian that I want to be on commentary, whether it's for a match, a segment, 2 matches, whatever you can give me. Can't do it. Josh said 1. Then he retracted it, said 0 because they're going to be on the Impact Plus streaming service. So I'm like, let's talk to Josh. I expressed myself to Brian and told him, everything that I do for House of Glory for 2 years has been detailed. I'm always prepared. And this is my compensation. Moments like this, not only exist for the men and women of House of Glory, but it exists for us as a team. If Impact is coming into our home, and they're going to be live on pay-per-view, why aren't I a part of this? I've been here for 2 years. I've been dedicated. I've been loyal. I did everything you asked of me. This is my compensation. I want to get my stuff out there too. And the storylines, Josh doesn't know any of the roster. He never once came up to ask me, let's go over this, let's go over that. Who's this? What's their history? Is there a feud going on? How'd they win the championship? So on and so forth. Nothing was done. Nothing was done. I take great pride in that preparation. So I told him, does Josh know about Broadway and Gangone's history? Does Josh know about the New York Wrecking Crew, Chris Eaton and Smooth Blackman, that they have been out for 18 months seeking redemption after Chris Eaton broke his leg back in 2017? Does Josh know of Monte and Evander James and the history with the Crown Jewel Championship? Does Josh know that Sonya Strong and Tessa Blanchard were opponents in a House of Glory ring? Does Josh know the history between Violet and Sonya Strong in the House of Glory Women's Championship? Does Josh know that LAX is the longest reigning, not only Impact Tag Team Champions, but House of Glory Tag Team Champions? He didn't know any of that. So I wanted to be there to help fill those gaps. Met with Josh. He was receptive. I'm not going to say he wasn't. He didn't really come off in the most genuine way. I will say that. I don't know what the attitude is with people in the wrestling business. It's just not him. I stood there, and Brian and I were talking to him, and I expressed myself, and he listened. I don't know if he really cared, but he listened. At one point, I thought it was his decision. Then he says, "No, you got to go to Scott. Don't bother me." So I go to Scott D'Amore. Super nice guy. Holy shit, super nice guy. Talked to him. I explained my case to him. Exactly what I told Brian, I told Scott. He made fun of my orange shirt. He's like, I don't think Taz is going to appreciate that too much. Now, Taz wasn't there. I was just wearing orange because it's the House of Glory colors. And he's like, let me mull it over. Let me think about it. Let me pull some strings, and I'll get back to you. So Josh calls me over about an hour later. Tells me, do not speak out of turn. Do not try and get yourself over, which I never do. Told me I'm going to ask me, he told me that I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you're going to answer them, and that's it. So at that point, I'm like, I'm not doing play-by-play commentary. No. Don Callis was sitting there eating a slice of pepperoni pizza. He turned to Don and asked him any advice for him. Don didn't even look at me, and he said, speak in sound bites. Okay. So there you go. I go up to Gangone and Broadway, who are talking about their match. And I asked them, is there anything specifically you want me to say? Just get us over. Try and put us over on commentary. I'm like, okay. So at that point, it was a 6-man scramble for the X Division Championship with Rich Swann and some of our guys. Smiley, Montekia, and Evander James. Match was great. And I sat in on commentary for the second match, which was Gangone, Moose, and Ken Broadway. World title match, which I didn't think it was going to be a world title match. And everything was smooth sailing from there. After the little botch in the intro, everything was smooth sailing. But I was fucking nervous as shit, which I got to get used to this pay-per-view model because we're going to be using it in House of Glory moving forward. But everything went off well. Josh, at the end of it, they cut the commercial or an advertisement, and he looked me in the face and said, I'm glad I got to do this with you, and shook my hand and said, hopefully we get to do this again sometime. And that was it. And then I went home and had a couple of beers and went to sleep. That was my Code Red evening. But again, I want to thank Gangone, I want to thank Hodge, and I want to thank Brian for having my back in this. Brian there, physically being there with me. Hodge couldn't make it because of personal reasons, business reasons. And it was something that I wanted, and I got at least 15 minutes to try and get the guys over. Because I care about the company, I care about the talent, and I'm just glad I got the opportunity to do so. So, for all the fucking haters out there, man, I am not signed to Impact Wrestling. Don't worry, maybe one day you'll be hearing me on Impact Wrestling. And until then, shut your fucking mouth. I work for Hog, they're working with House of Glory, Impact is. So, of course I'm going to be there. How many people I've seen on social media, Impact is in the dumps because I'm working for them. Listen, if Impact is in the dumps, it's not going to be because I'm on commentary. Believe me. You fucking idiots. This is Off the Script, episode 273, part number 1. We got a lot to go over. Follow me on social media, man. JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206 if you guys want to support via the Patreon page. Completely optional. Up to you. Get exclusive content and early content on Patreon. Make sure you guys go and check out all this week's videos. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT, bro. Matt Riddle and Adam Cole had a classic on NXT. And Off the Script Extra, where we talk about Goldberg and his opponent for Saudi Arabia. Is that revealed? Becky Lynch says Sasha Banks can't hack it in WWE. And then the breaking news on Raw and SmackDown is that Vince is not a genius. So we go over the wild card rule on both Monday and Tuesday. Link is in the annotation that you see in the top right corner, that little eye that you see in the top right corner. Go and check it out. Thank you guys so very much for all of that. Harry's.com/script. Why Harry's? Why did WWE implement a stupid wild card rule? Well, we went over the why in the beginning of this podcast, but Harry's and their founders were tired of paying for razors that were overpriced and overdesigned. They knew a great shave didn't come from gimmicks like vibrating heads and flex balls, tactics that the leading brands have used to raise prices for decades. They fixed all that by combining a simple, clean design with quality, durable blades at a fair price. Harry's also bought a world-class blade factory in Germany that's been making quality blades for over 95 years. They received over 20,000 five-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google alone. Harry's replacement cartridges are just $2. That's half the price of a Gillette Fusion Pro Shield. And all Harry's blades come with a 100% quality guarantee. If you don't love your shave, let them know, and they will give you a full refund, man. Why Harry's? There you go. What are you going to get? You're going to get a razor handle. Choice of color is yours. Orange, the navy blue, or the evergreen. 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel, and a travel blade cover as well if you're a man on the go, if you are a businessman and need to travel for work, or if you're a regular guy like me who likes it to look nice on the bathroom sink while guests come over and they look at your bathroom and how well it's laid out. Oh, you use Harry's. So do I. It's a good conversation piece. Believe me, listeners of my show can redeem their trial set at harrys.com/script. Make sure you go to harrys.com/script to redeem your offer and let them know that JD sent you to help support Off the Script. Gonna start this week's part 1 off with this story, folks. Not really surprised by this whatsoever. WWE lead writer of Raw fired, and the reason why it happened. I wonder why it happened. This is coming from Fightful.com, Fightful Select, and my bro, Sean Raw Sapp. He reported this on Monday, that former Raw writer Ryan Callahan has been fired by WWE. Ryan Callahan in no relation to Sami Callahan. Ryan Callahan has been fired by the WWE. He had been with the company for several years. Now, Sean Raw Sapp says this. We're told that the firing actually has nothing to do with ratings, viewership, storylines, or anything of the sort. Instead, we're told that Callahan had an issue with Dave Kapoor, who portrayed Raj Singh on WWE TV for years. Kapoor felt that Callahan took creative changes a little too personally, and it was difficult to work with him. He wasn't setting a good example for the rest of the writing team. Callahan was fired on the evening of Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. I guess the news broke on Monday, right before Monday Night Raw. Now, those who have spoken to this incident, or spoken about this incident, couldn't speak on the authenticity of Kapoor's qualms, but said it seemed like they butted heads often. Callahan also had been helping out on the SmackDown side of things, as well as of late. Callahan has worked on The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Monster-in-Laws, and several other shows in the past. Right there, first of all, The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and Monster-in-Laws have to do what with professional wrestling? Zero. There's no professional wrestling in The Bachelor. unless you're wrestling some fucking whore on the show, in bed, when the cameras are off, right? Monster-in-laws? What the fuck is that? Is that the movie with Jennifer Lopez? How is this wrestling related? And why are you bringing in people like Ryan Callahan to the fucking company to write your shows? Guy probably had zero wrestling knowledge at all. Can he base a certain instance in 2019 based off something else? Maybe you could borrow an idea or take influence from something that you've seen in the past? No. No, but I wrote The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. WWE's writing staff has seen a major shakeup. Road Dogg stepped down as lead SmackDown writer. R.D. Evans quit on the spot during the WWE Hall of Fame. And others were cut from the company, like Dave Schilling, who was hired and left the company in a matter of months. In addition, Dana Warrior has also joined the creative team in recent months. Awesome. What does Bray Wyatt say? Wowie, wowie, or whatever the fuck he says, right? Yeah. Sorry. Fightful will have more on the situation, they said, as it develops. And that is the latest on Ryan Callahan being fired. Now, Heel by Nature website actually tweeted out, I don't know how the fuck, maybe it was uploaded and they got the link to it. I don't know why WWE didn't delete the video. Or maybe the video was unlisted since the beginning and they know someone in the WWE who sent it to them. But there was a video on WWE's YouTube channel that went unlisted all day yesterday. And it was about the perks and the excitement of working for WWE's creative team. There's a bunch of people in the offices of Stamford, Connecticut. They're all sitting around a big round table. They're throwing ideas back and forth. There was a few testimonials about, how fun it could be and how exciting it is to see your ideas come to life. And then they go over a bunch of, if I can find the fucking video. I swear to God, I have the video in my history. I don't know if you guys seen this. I want to play it for you because it's fucking ridiculous. It is absolute. Here we go. Let me turn on the desktop audio. Let me see if it's working. This is live. I'm not editing this out.
We are live tonight. It's sold out.
WWE Creative Writing, life at WWE.
The mission of the creative writing team is to put smiles on people's faces, which is, of course, the mission statement of the entire company.
Even the most technologically advanced movies all started with somebody sitting down and just putting words to paper.
The goal is to create compelling content for our TV shows and then come up with innovative ways to tell stories.
You need to introduce these talents also so I know who they are. I like that layout. I'm just trying to think of what comes next.
A writer's room can be a really fun, exciting place because you have a bunch of creative people with different backgrounds.
I lived in LA working on reality shows, writing my own screenplays.
I studied film and TV at Notre Dame.
I worked at a talent agency for 4 years.
Scripted TV.
Sports and music.
I come from soap operas.
My experience isn't everything but WWE.
Really now? Really? Your experience comes in everything but WWE. Did you hear any of those people that gave their testimonials about where they came from and their background? Did you hear at all? Oh, I came from Ring of Honor. Oh, I came from New Japan. I couldn't wait to start a new journey with the WWE. None of them had any wrestling-related background or knowledge of pro wrestling. That is where they're fucking up. You got 30 fucking people. First of all, it's exciting to see all your ideas come to fruition amongst other talented people and their ideas. How many of these ideas are actually being used? And how many of these ideas are given to Vince McMahon ultimately to be scrapped by the old man 2 hours before Monday Night Raw? In which he has to rewrite the whole fucking show, making everything that you're doing in that office pretty much irrelevant. Continuing. WWE creates 7 to 10 hours of programming.
What we're trying to do is get everybody to pitch in to create all of this content.
What can we do to get the audience to feel something for these characters? You're always trying to just take them on that emotional ride.
You just made a list!
That is the exclusive.
Man, it feels good up here.
On the home team, you're planning week to week, month to month, longer term storylines.
The road team is executing and fine-tuning everything we do at television.
I'm a writer's assistant. We do pretty much anything and everything. You're handing out scripts, taking notes.
Scripts that are being ripped up.
Segments of the TV show.
Once he starts speaking again, we can turn the spotlight back on.
The writer's assistants are also allowed to contribute creatively.
I have an opportunity to work with talent, pitch ideas to write. I never thought I'd be getting those opportunities this quickly in my professional life.
Maybe not.
They're making it sound so fucking
What
glorious.
sets us apart is we're a live show.
It's high pressure, I think, because whether the show is put together or not, it's going to go on the air at 8 o'clock.
There's no place.
Oh, the show
in
is never
entertainment
put together
that you
from
can
what I
replicate
read every
that
week.
Crazy adrenaline rush.
You need to have thick skin and not be married to your ideas because there's always a good chance something's going to change.
You're making script changes sometimes right up until showtime.
The constant travel.
Yeah, because that's what we
something
really
you have to
want to
get
do,
used
right?
People joke here like the road never ends because it doesn't.
We are live tonight in Memphis, in Anaheim, Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Teamwork, brother.
This guy behind the guy. Some people work for years on scripts and screenplays that never get shot.
The most fulfilling thing is to write something on a Friday and see it on TV on a Monday.
Just telling a story and being able to get that right in front of an audience.
Oh, really? Write something
it's
on
like
Friday and
instant
see it on
gratification,
TV on
and there's
Monday,
nothing
and it's
greater
not what
than
you
that.
wrote because Vince didn't want it. Man, this was the most pathetic video. This was actually laughable. They make the life of a creative writer in WWE seem so inviting. Yet none of them have any wrestling knowledge whatsoever. Now, going back to this fucking guy, Ryan Callahan. Why did he get fired by the WWE? Well, apparently, according to Sean Ross Sapp, he took the creative changes a little bit too personally. Don't you think that the guy was probably fucking annoyed that Kapoor, who I'm sure is a Vince McMahon fucking ball gargler, that Kapoor was writing for Vince McMahon specifically instead of benefiting the overall show, making it better than what it could be, but instead writing for Vince McMahon. Don't you think that this guy knew his ideas were better than what was going to be, and he got fucking frustrated? I'd take that personally, too! I would take it personally as well. Difficult to work with, not setting a good example for the rest of the creative writing team. What example is there? What do they get paid to do? Honestly, what do they get paid to do? They write, they conceive thoughts, and then ultimately, gone. Everything is wasted. This guy was probably so fucking pissed off at the amount of changes that went into good ideas that ultimately were scrapped for something far worse that Vince McMahon changed that didn't make any sense. Of course he's going to take it personally. Imagine coming up with something that's good and makes sense and fills in most of the logic gaps, only to have it scrapped and filled with logic holes and gaps, and it doesn't make sense, and it's just a complete deviation away from what you originally pitched. Who knows why this guy quit? But he can go back to the Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Monster-in-Laws. None of these guys had wrestling background. This is not what the WWE need. They don't need soap opera writers. They don't need reality TV writers. They don't need these fucking people who have no wrestling knowledge. Get someone with a wrestling background that knows what the fuck is going on. This is why Vince probably... I don't even know if this is the case. Vince is going to do what he wants anyway because he's a fucking senile fuck. But this is why, it all starts from the bottom. The shows aren't good because the ideas being pitched are not good because they don't have any wrestling knowledge or background. Come on, man. Lead Raw writer was fired. Does it make a difference? I don't think not. The guy's probably going to have a much better time anywhere else but WWE. Fox and USA Network calling for an end to WWE's brand split. Uh-oh. The Wrestling Observer Newsletter is reporting that both Fox and the USA Network are calling for an end to the WWE brand splits because ratings continue to fall. We went over all of this already in the open. If you guys want to go back and watch that heated 30 minutes, you guys can certainly do so. But both Raw and SmackDown are currently broadcast by the USA Network, with SmackDown heading to Fox later this year, but something will drastically need to change if the Blue Show is to hit 3 million viewers. And that's a target set by Fox on last week's episode of Raw. No less than 5 SmackDown Live superstars appeared which, according to Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio, was Vince McMahon's attempt to appease the two networks without completely calling an end to the brand split. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE was receiving pressure from NBC Universal, who owns the USA Network. They are also getting some requests from Fox as well. This is likely what really helped encourage the big change in creative. Meltzer says this, and I quote, "Fox wanted more storylines that are going to be on both Raw and SmackDown. You know, NBC Universal was real upset about the ratings, especially in the third hour, and was asking questions about, our ratings are like this, 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 and this. Why did we give away Roman Reigns?" I don't understand. I don't understand that. Your main issue is Roman Reigns? Who the fuck is Roman Reigns? It's not with Roman Reigns. Taking Roman Reigns off of Raw and putting him on SmackDown is not the reason for Raw's declining ratings. It's the overall writing. Roman Reigns is on SmackDown. SmackDown's going to Fox. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? If Raw is writing better stories, then the ratings would increase, no matter if Reigns is on SmackDown or not. Why is this so difficult to grasp? I don't get it. Due to the pressure of top stars to work for both shows, it'll be different guys. I guess it'll be 4 guys on both shows, in theory, week to week. End quote. WWE has a long history of introducing a brand split, realizing that ratings fall, and then canceling the brand split. And if ratings don't pick up anytime soon, they may have to bite the bullet and end it anyway. Raw drew a 2.158 million viewership last week, the lowest rating the show has had all year, and SmackDown drew a 1.833 million viewers. Forbes reports that SmackDown Live viewership has fallen 40% in the 18 to 35 demographic. So Fox and USA Network are calling to end for the brand split. If this continues, which I hope it does, I hope that Fox and USA continue to give Vince McMahon shit on what he needs to do, because it's not coming from anybody else. Nobody else is going to tell Vince. Nobody in the WWE, unfortunately, is going to tell Vince McMahon what to do and what needs to be done. It's going to come from Fox and USA. And all they want is star power, star power, star power. Now, you really can't end the brand split completely. If WWE did right by writing fucking better stories, then this wouldn't be an issue. It's not the fact that Roman is on SmackDown and not on Raw. It's not the fact that Rollins is on Raw and not on SmackDown. It's not the fact that AJ Styles is on Raw and not on SmackDown. Nobody is a major star. Becky Lynch is on Raw and SmackDown. Nothing is working. Nothing is working. Charlotte could be moved to Raw and SmackDown and go back and forth with this new wild card rule. Nothing will matter. Nothing will matter. Kofi Kingston was on Monday Night Raw defending the WWE title against Daniel Bryan. Barely an increase for the WWE Championship in the main event against Daniel Bryan, who's the biggest fucking heel in the company right now. Not even a fucking increase, barely, in the ratings. It's not what you put on TV. It's not who you put on TV. You need to write. Why do you go back every single week to watch your favorite television series? Why? It's because you're invested in the story. You're invested in the story. Okay? Why do you play a video game that you don't know anything about? You either play the video game not knowing anything about what the game is or who the characters are. You play it, you either fall in love with the game and fall in love with the characters. If you don't like the characters or don't like the story, then you don't watch. But it's the same method. It's the same thing. You're going to play this video game that you don't know anything about. I'm going to take Final Fantasy VII, and I'm going to give you this example. I didn't know anything of Final Fantasy VII when I first got the game. I was so fucking excited about it. Final Fantasy VII to me is the greatest video game that has ever been made. Ever. Nothing has even come close to that. You get a backstory of Sephiroth and the history of him, and you get the backstory of Cloud, and you meet these different characters. You meet Barrett, and you meet Sid, and you meet Tifa, and you meet Ariel or Arieth. I forgot. Whatever you could. Either way, you could call her whatever. Either one of those names. And when Sephiroth is in the church and he kills Arieth, and she's dead. At that point in the game, you're so invested in the fucking characters that you're genuinely fucking sad that you're not going to see her around anymore. You know? And then the villain that Sephiroth was, burning down the fucking village and then just planning world domination. At the end of the fucking game, you're like, I'm going to beat this motherfucker. Killed my girlfriend, and he thinks he's going to take over the fucking world. Not on my watch, man. Not on my watch. It's the same thing with any fucking video game you're playing. You know, you're going to get invested in the characters. Any TV series you watch, you're going to watch the fucking series and you're going to develop a fondness and a love for the characters. This is what WWE doesn't understand. How can I love what Kofi Kingston is doing when you're not giving me anything to invest my time into Kofi Kingston? How am I going to get behind a Seth Rollins when it's just there with the Universal Championship, or he's just there with the Universal Championship, and you're not really putting him in any storyline arc or any developing storyline or any struggle? Why am I going to care about AJ Styles if he's on Raw one night feuding over the Universal Championship, and then he's on SmackDown Live the next night getting a WWE Championship match? Why? I mean, just look at Gargano and Ciampa. We all loved Gargano. Every single one of us loved Gargano. Every single match he had with Ciampa, he got the short end of the stick. You either loved Ciampa or you fucking hated Ciampa. We all loved Ciampa because we're smart. We knew what he was doing to Johnny. We knew that Johnny just being treated unfairly. When is he going to get his opportunity? And then Ciampa won the title. Ciampa beat Aleister Black. Ciampa's the new world champion. Johnny is chasing Ciampa. That road to fucking get the title got to go through Ciampa. The story was there. We were already invested in Johnny and his quest. We were invested in Ciampa because of how he did Johnny dirty and how he won the title from Aleister Black. How everything came to be. And then we seen the villain he really became. You build up all those aspects, and then at the end, when it's about to fucking draw a conclusion, man, you're so invested in it, you don't even give a shit at that point. Have we ever felt anything like that on WWE television? No. We have not. Ending the brand split is not the answer. It's not. The reason why I did go back and say, I said it on Monday Night Raw, just fucking end it. Just end it. Because you've already ended it without officially ending it. So what you're telling me is there is a brand split, and at the same time there's not. You can't have two sides to this thing. You can't have all of that and then get this too. You can't do that. Write better stories. Simple. Write better stories. Then they will come. Do you understand? Do you understand how it is to be a fan and not feel anything towards these characters on TV? And that goes from the top all the way to the bottom. I don't understand how difficult it is for any of these people to grasp. And you have all these creative writers, and they don't know what to do. And that goes back to them not having any knowledge of who these characters are. They don't have a fucking clue. How could you write for somebody that you don't know? The difference between Triple H's team and Vince's team, Vince has nothing but reality TV fucking idiots working for him. Meanwhile, Triple H, Matt Bloom, William Regal, fucking Shawn Michaels. You got Sarah Del Rey. You got how many people who are in Michael PSAs? How many people who are in the business? Who have been in the business? Writing and helping and molding and teaching and guiding. Who does Vince McMahon have? Fucking reality TV writer for The Bachelorette. You know where the issues are. Fix them. WWE tries to explain Vince McMahon's new wild card rule. He called himself brilliant. He called himself a genius. Now superstars from Raw and SmackDown can jump from brands on 1 week whenever they want. If this feels confusing, then don't worry because everybody was officially confused. Mr. McMahon's first officially sanctioned wildcard rule is blurring the lines between WWE brands. Now, I mentioned this on Monday Night Raw. I don't know if they realized that they were blurring the lines between brands since the Survivor Series. What makes this any different? We've seen this on television, and it's the same fucking shit. You did it then, ratings didn't increase. You're doing it now, and it's getting worse. So clearly this is not the right solution. Mr. McMahon's new wildcard rule explained, and I quote, "The latest wrinkle." This is from WWE.com, folks. Nobody writes like this. The latest wrinkle in the ongoing superstar shakeup emerged this Monday on Raw when Mr. McMahon announced the wild card rule in which a limited number of superstars from Raw and SmackDown could be invited by who? To cross brand lines for one night only appearances, with unauthorized jumps to be penalized by fines or even potential firing. The Miz? Did we touch on this on Tuesday when The Miz jumped from Raw to SmackDown back to Raw? What happened? Are we going to get fines? Suspensions? Penalized? Superstars, right? What's going to happen? I want to see this go unnoticed when it's right in the fucking description. Are they going to penalize The Miz? So, this was capped at 3 originally. Then it went to 4. And at the end of Monday Night Raw, we had 5 with The Miz's inclusion, which I guess WWE forgot how to count. You know, maybe they need Sesame Street playing on the fucking TVs in the background. WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns started things off on Monday Night Raw. Lars Sullivan, and then The Miz. The Miz was there, right? Or Elias, rather. Not The Miz, Elias, because he's a SmackDown guy now. I'm sorry, Elias. I don't know where the fuck anybody is. All this fucking movement around. Superstars crossing between Raw and SmackDown Live has, of course, occurred on a rare occasion since the 2000s. A rare occasion? You were doing it for fucking 6 months. 6 months! 2018 on into WrestleMania this year. A rare occasion. Man, these guys got full-blown dementia since the 2016 brand extension. But the wildcard rule is the first officially sanctioned blurring of the lines between Team Red and Team Blue. The exceptions before Monday Night Raw had been Becky Lynch, who holds both Raw and SmackDown women's titles, and the Iconics, who are eligible to appear on all brands as the free-floating WWE Tag Team Champions. And although this isn't to say we're about to go back to the days of Raw Super Shows or do away with the brand extension, there are some staggering implications to the rule depending on who decides to take advantage of it. The main event of the Wildcard's maiden voyage was the Raw WWE Championship match, or the first Raw WWE Championship match since 2016. False! False. This explanation is riddled with fucking logicals, just like everything else in WWE. First true WWE Championship match since 2016. False. Because the WWE Championship was on the line in a title versus title match with Kofi and Seth Rollins before you threw the bar to interrupt it on the Raw after Mania. And AJ Styles has already openly speculated about getting some friends from SmackDown Live to back him up against the Universal Champion Seth Rollins. Meanwhile, his friends have already been drafted to Monday Night Raw. So who the fuck is AJ Styles going to go to SmackDown Live and get to come over to Raw? Finn Balor? AJ Styles and Finn Balor have had nothing to do with one another. As always, it will take a while before the true impact of the wild card rule is realized, but it's sure to make things very interesting going forward. See which new matchups will be made possible by the wild card rule by tuning into Raw and SmackDown Live Monday and Tuesday nights on the USA Network. This is nothing more than a Raw and SmackDown Super Show every single week with no storyline arc whatsoever. Desperation maneuver. The wild card rule is, I envision somebody sitting down at a fucking poker table, who has an ace up his sleeve. Oh, look at this. I got 2 aces. Oh, I think nobody's got anything. The pot's big. Let me pull it out. Trip aces. Wild card. Last ditch effort by WWE. This is not the answer. Everything that I mentioned in the beginning of this show is exactly how I feel about the fucking wild card rule. It does more damage than good. There's more logicals on top of logicals, and we don't need any more logicals. Please. Please, this is not the answer. In fact, I hope this fucking fails. I really do. Dave Meltzer touched on this as well, and he and I and Brian Alvarez are on the same wavelength, which I'm happy to see. The Wrestling Observer newsletter know that the WWE mid-card would actually be the most damaged due to the wild card rule. This is unfortunate, seeing how that the same portion of the roster that houses superstars right now are unhappy with WWE and could ultimately want out of the WWE. The idea is that the biggest stars will work both shows, so there is more star depth. That also means less time for the unhappy middle of the card guys that want out. Some publicly, many others privately, and less time to create stars. The strength of the brand split is the idea that more talent get opportunities, but the new format cuts that way back. WWE is doing everything they can to the current environment to make things better. They definitely need to figure out some solution to their current ratings dilemma, though, because things are starting to get out of control. Fans need to start tuning in, and perhaps the possibility that they might miss a top star jumping over to the rival brand could be enough to entice them. No. Again, I mentioned that if I can see Roman Reigns on SmackDown and not Raw, that would, and I'm using him as an example because, you know, he's the one guy, even though he's not a ratings draw. You put Roman on SmackDown Live, it gives you more reason to tune into SmackDown Live, and they're not. Now that we're going to see Roman on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, all I know is, as far as my perspective goes, that I'm going to willingly skip out on that segment because I don't give a shit about him to begin with, and now that he's on both shows, now you're overexposing him, and nothing is developing as far as his storyline. I honestly think it's going to be tougher for WWE to write storylines because they got to write it for 2 nights. If they're going to be on Raw and SmackDown, clearly Roman's going to have an initiative to be there on Monday Night Raw. And if you're going to write for Roman Reigns, clearly you're going to have to continue the storyline that you picked up on Monday Night Raw on Tuesday. So you're either going to blow through these storylines quick, and there's not going to be a real conclusion to them, and you're going to have to rush to get him into another storyline immediately because you put all your eggs in one basket with him being on both shows. None of this is going to work. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Conan, yes, Conan, spoke to Forbes. He discussed WWE as he sees it. He is an outsider from the company, but he can see what's going on. It's all about Vince McMahon and catering to what he wants instead of the fans. He says this, and I quote, "Somewhere along the way, WWE lost their way. I work in Mexico, and I help put together a live show, but it's like a 2-hour show, and that's it. They're doing 3-hour shows on Monday and a 2-hour show on Tuesday, and all of that original content in WWE Ride Along and Table for 3. SmackDown is usually better because it's only 2 hours, and their storylines are better. A lot of the times, at the end of the day, it's what Vince McMahon wants, and it shouldn't be what he wants. It should be what the fans want." What did I tell you? Vince kills, Triple H creates. Vince looks at the fans as nothing more than this. He doesn't give a shit about them. He doesn't give a fuck if he fucks up NXT storylines. Vince, and I mentioned this on Monday in a very heated open, Vince, I am dead set on Vince. If the company doesn't succeed creatively because of him, he will not give way to anybody else to make it better because it would make him look like a failure. I believe that wholeheartedly. WWE either creatively dies with him or succeeds with him. There's no middle. He's not going to give it over to somebody else to make him look bad. If Triple H comes in and rights the ship and ratings start to go up, what do you think that's going to do to Vince McMahon's overall ego, which right now is fucking one of the strongest presence on God's green earth? It's going to make Vince McMahon look inferior. He doesn't want to look inferior to anybody. He's Vince McMahon. Come on. The obvious answer is a lot of people go to the obvious answer a lot of people go to is saying that Vince McMahon should retire from WWE and only focus on the XFL. However, that might also destroy the company's stock, which they don't want either. Listen, the stock might suffer for a couple of weeks, but knowing that the creative side of things is increasing the ratings is going to be there. They'll get right back to where they need to be. Vince McMahon is not keeping the fans happy. It's all about Vince McMahon, and it doesn't need to be about Vince McMahon. Conan is absolutely 100% right in that situation. It's about Vince. It's got to be about the fans, and it's not being done that way. Why WWE stopped uploading to YouTube during Raw. Now, I don't really blame WWE for this, but I also don't blame the fans for seeking out the YouTube clips either. not wanting to watch the fucking shows. If the shows were good, then people would watch the live shows or DVR it and watch it when they can. But people aren't watching the shows. You may be home and not want to watch the shows. You know that WWE is going to go upload the YouTube clips and you could watch everything you need on a 2 or 3 minute clip on YouTube. WWE stopped uploading during Raw and it will continue to not upload during Raw because they feel like if they are uploading, you aren't watching. You're watching the YouTube channel. Dave Meltzer discussed WWE's newest strategy during Wrestling Observer Live, and he reasoned with WWE's decision to cut out YouTube. It seems that WWE considered that enough of a problem, so they're giving this new method a try. At the end of the day, he says, they're going with the idea that, in fact, YouTube is cutting into their ratings. So this is part of the strategy. Now is a lot less YouTube, at least during the show. Like, they may do it the next day. They may do it after Raw airs. But they don't want YouTube cutting into stuff during the live show because they feel like it hurts the ratings. So we'll see. That's another aspect of it all. End quote. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any difference in the ratings. I don't think so. Because if people don't want to watch, you're simply not going to want to watch. You're not going to watch the show. If the show is bad and you have no interest in the show, you're not going to watch. WWE is not going to skip a day or a week, or they're not going to upload. They're not going to upload to YouTube. It's going to be there. People will watch it on their own time. If they don't want to watch the show, they're not going to watch the show. If you're not giving them a reason to watch the show, they're not going to watch the show. They will seek the ratings, or they will seek the content in other ways, and it's going to end up fucking the ratings anyway. So I understand WWE's method. It's good in theory, but I don't think it's a solution to the ratings problem at all. If people don't want to watch, they are not going to watch. Speaking of YouTube, guys, I want to get this quickly out there. My brother's got new music. Legionary's got new music. Spiritual Warfare. An 11-minute track. You guys can get the full version or the instrumental version. It is unbelievable, man. This song is amazing. One of Legionary's best, if not their best song to date. And Frank obviously played the drums because he's the drummer of the band. He wrote all the music. He played all the rhythm guitars. Tony came in and killed the solo at the end. And it's unbelievable. The amount of production and the amount of preparation and detail and meticulous editing. Time editing this thing. Producing this thing. Mixing this thing. It came out to be a true masterpiece for him. And I'm very proud of him. So make sure if you guys want to go support my brother Frank, I would really appreciate it. If you guys support me, listen. I mean this wholeheartedly. If you support me getting a t-shirt, if you support me on the Patreon page, if you support me just by watching and leaving a thumbs up and a comment, you guys can certainly go over there and check out my brother's music, man. Link is down in the description below. Bandcamp.com to go get Legionary's bundle, or if you guys just want the song itself, I prefer the bundle. Make sure you guys go and support my brother Legionary, man, right here on Off the Script. Finishing up here on part 1 of episode 273, WWE warned writers. I wish they would warn writers about writing shitty fucking television, but they warned the writers about being on their phones to prevent leaks. Now, this is common knowledge. I mean, you got to be a fucking blithering idiot if you're going to be on your phone when you're not supposed to be on your phone when something is top secret. I remember Grim telling me, Grim's Toy Show. I went out to go visit him and do some stuff with GTS. He has a strict no phone policy. So much so that I don't remember who it was. And even if I did, I wouldn't put them on blast here on the podcast anyway. He literally seen someone on his phone when Grim gave specific orders for his operation not to be on his phone. Took the phone, threw it into the fucking forest somewhere. Goodbye. You don't want to listen to me. You don't want to respect the fucking rules. One simple rule like that. Goodbye. Your phone is gone. In the fucking forest it goes. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit if it gets eaten by a. Ooh, look at this phone. Can I look up some new recipes for some wood? Anyway, Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp reports that WWE gave soft warnings to multiple writers about being on their phones backstage. We've now had multiple former WWE writers tell Fightful that during the script leakings last year that they were given soft warnings about being on their phones too much backstage. Those warnings didn't seem to stop much when it came to making sure the information didn't leak out. However, they eventually tracked down the script leak, so it's unclear if WWE is still paranoid about writers being on their phones backstage. It seems like with so many moving pieces backstage, there are bound to be pieces of information that get out without company approving it. Can't blame WWE for at least trying. Don't be on your phones. Respect the fucking process. Simple as that. Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan seems to be in hot water again, or at least to some. Or there might be people out there that want to see the demise of Lars Sullivan before he even takes off on the WWE roster. WWE hoping this Lars Sullivan controversy that stemmed from his bodybuilding forums many, many, many years ago. Days in which Lars Sullivan had hair. Not so much anymore. They're hoping this Lars Sullivan controversy will stay low and disappear. Lars Sullivan is on SmackDown Live. He can show up whenever he wants with the wild card rule. Turns out that Sullivan's name is frequent in a lot of stories that the company would rather not see him in, and they want it to go away. I want Vince McMahon to go away. Do you see me fucking creating troll accounts trying to get this guy fucking terminated? Now, we've previously talked about Sullivan and these comments before. Everything from Jeff Hardy to CM Punk to Stephanie McMahon. You guys know it. I'm not going to go over it again. Sullivan's comments on a bodybuilding forum went viral again as of yesterday. This is nothing new, but it certainly seemed to pick up now that he's on the main roster. Of course. Soon as someone starts to see success, there's going to be someone out there to see him fucking fail. And people take great pride and joy in this, which I wish chlamydia on these fucking people. If you're one of those people, I swear to God, I wish you live with a lifetime of fucking herpes. I really do. Now, WrestleVotes reports that they spoke to a source in WWE who said that the company is hoping that this entire situation will stay low and disappear. They said, and I quote, "Talk to one of my main sources regarding this Lars Sullivan stuff." Source states that WWE is aware that whatever's going around online is making the rounds. His exact words, they are hoping it stays low and disappears. WrestleVotes take, they aren't going to do a goddamn thing. I hope I am wrong. The company might not do a damn thing at this time, but Vince McMahon is very high on Lars Sullivan and plans to go all the way with him as a monster as well. So Lars Sullivan could be a very crucial piece to whatever WWE has planned long term. Now, clearly, Lars Sullivan, WWE was aware of all these attacks that he made via this bodybuilding forum months ago. There was no heat on Sullivan then. There's not going to be no heat on Sullivan now. He actually took a hiatus from WWE due to an anxiety attack and needed to seek professional help for a little bit. The company was understanding and supportive during that ordeal as well. Maybe that had something to do with it. And now it's coming back again and possibly could drive this guy to feel that anxiety again and go back into that panic mode again. That's not right. That's not right at all. Why would you want that for somebody? First of all, why would you want someone to fucking fail that he's finding success? Number two. Okay? Number two. WWE, they had this guy planned for WrestleMania and John Cena, and he couldn't come to work. I don't know why. The nature of the main roster doesn't seem to be bothering him now. What else could have driven him to be anxiety attack, panic attack? What could have done it? Had to be this fucking bullshit that people clearly went out of their way to dig up and present to social media in 2019. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm a fan of Lars Sullivan. I really am. I hope WWE does right by him. He might not be getting the reactions that we want now, but you know, I think WWE could have done better in the way that they are introducing Lars Sullivan. But as far as Lars Sullivan goes, he's got huge potential. He's got huge upside. I think guys like him are very crucial to the overall product. You don't see guys like that size, that athletic. He looks the part. He's not bad at what he does. He's great on the microphone. And I'm hoping that he finds success genuinely. I think he has a bright future if he stays the course. We all did shit when we were younger. I did stupid shit when we were younger that we regret now. We said shit in the past that we regret. We were young and stupid. Okay? I'm not sure if Lars Sullivan even wanted to be a professional wrestler. I'm not sure if Lars Sullivan wanted to work for WWE at that point. I don't know, nor do I care. So now he finds himself in the WWE, and coincidentally, he said these things about his bosses, Stephanie McMahon. He said things about people who are there. He said things about minorities in these posts on the forum. And it does not bother me. It does not bother me that Lars Sullivan said these things because we were young and stupid. We were young and stupid at that age. And Lars Sullivan is guilty of being young and stupid. Okay? I don't want to see people drag his name through the mud like they did Hulk Hogan. Now, before I talk about Hulk Hogan again, yes, I know the man was illegally recorded. The man was illegally recorded. Okay? Some people take Hogan's side in that because he was illegally recorded. I don't agree with what fucking Hogan said. Or Bolea. I don't agree with what Bolea said, but it was said. But he was illegally recorded. Okay? You could be upset with what he said, but he was illegally recorded. Lars Sullivan and Hulk Hogan's situation is completely different. Racist overtones to it, you know. Lars Sullivan putting down minorities, Hogan saying whatever he said in the video. I didn't know of Lars Sullivan during this time. I knew of Hulk Hogan. We all knew of Hulk Hogan. We invited Hulk Hogan into our homes, into our fucking lives. He was a part of our childhood, right? Now that we're older, we see the real Terry Bollea. If that, you know, again, it's up to interpretation. How you perceive Terry Bollea. Some people are adamant in saying that he's not who he was on that videotape. Some people don't want anything to do with Hulk Hogan at all. I always believe in a second chance for somebody in that situation. But we welcomed Hogan into our lives. We welcomed Hogan into our lives. We grew up on say your prayers, take your vitamins, you know, respect, be humble, you know, be a little Hulkamaniac, do all the right things, and success is going to find itself to you. Then as grown adults, and some of you have children of your own, you're looking at Hulk Hogan, and you see this shit come out of Hulk Hogan's mouth, and Terry Bollea ruined everything that Hulk Hogan was to you, and Terry Bollea ruined Hulk Hogan for everybody else wanting to be introduced to Hulk Hogan. If you're a child and, you know, you found Hulk Hogan to say this, you probably don't want anything to do with Hulk Hogan anymore. If you're a father of young children, you're not going to go back and show them old tapes of Hulk Hogan if you are adamantly against what he said. You welcomed him into our, you know, you welcomed him into your life. I welcomed him into my life as well. Same can't be said about Lars Sullivan. Two completely different wavelengths. I didn't welcome Lars Sullivan into my home. I didn't welcome Lars Sullivan into my life. I didn't even know who the fuck Lars Sullivan was during this immature phase that he was going through. I know Lars Sullivan now. I know Lars Sullivan is remorseful for what he said. I know Lars Sullivan regrets what he said. I know Lars Sullivan is trying to make himself a great career by doing what is right and not going back and doing what is wrong. So who the fuck is anybody else to say, oh, Lars Sullivan should be fired, or Lars Sullivan should be let go of WWE for his racist remarks and the fact that he spewed hate many years ago? Who the fuck are you? That's not Lars Sullivan now. I don't give a fuck what he said. I don't give a fuck what he said years ago. I give a fuck what he says now. Now, if he said it now, then I agree with you. But the simple fact that Lars Sullivan was a proverbial nobody, we don't have any ground to base or judge. Let the man do what he's got to do. He said he's sorry. WWE is forgiving of this. They know of it. Stop throwing eggs and trying to smear this guy all in the face with this fucking bullshit. WWE knows of it. He's not going anywhere. The more you make a big deal about this, the more WWE is going to ignore it. Now, I don't know if WWE is going to have a problem with NBC Universal and Fox, because if they continue to ignore it, people are going to continue to raise their voice louder and louder and louder and louder. That's the way it works. Who's to say if this is still an ongoing issue, which I hope it's not, going into the Fox deal, that WWE is going to be forced to do something about this? Hopefully Fox doesn't get their claws into this and realize what the fuck's going on with Lars Sullivan. How come you're not doing anything about this? You know? I hope it doesn't get to that point. But WWE wants to stay low and make this disappear on its own. And I'm not sure. Right now, it might not seem like a big deal, but I'm not sure that will be the best solution if WWE doesn't do anything about it. But they're not going to do anything about it. He's on TV. He's in programs. He clearly is going to be a pet project of Vince McMahon. He's not going anywhere. The man said he's sorry. They gave him a second chance. That's all that matters. If WWE gave him a second chance, then you, the fan, should be giving him a second chance because you didn't even know who Lars Sullivan was before all of this happened. So how the fuck can you pin all this negativity on Lars Sullivan now? Because that's not the same person that was then. Come on. Be smarter than that. It's not fair. WWE's plan to bury the revival might backfire on them, which I hope it does. Now, WWE, with Usi Hot, gave Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder a very embarrassing Monday night. They were offered 5-year contracts at $550,000 a year. That's a lot of money to give up, but they wanted to see how things played out this year in WWE. Smart! Looks like WWE is taking every chance they have to bury and embarrass the revival that they can. This included a segment on Raw where Dash and Dawson acted like their bathing suit area was on fire. Their balls were on fire. Great balls of fire. WWE's plan to make the revival look like jobbers and discredit them so they won't have any value anywhere else seems to be the way that they're going about this. However, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted, the current smart fans in the IWC might just look at this situation and only gravitate more towards the revival, which is eventually what's going to happen. I wonder if they bury the revival so much that the fans will see through it and it'll actually get them hotter as a mistake when the idea is to make them look like such geeks they'll have no credibility if and when they leave. End quote. That's from Meltzer. Now, it would be a big mistake for WWE to make if they end up making them bigger stars out of this when they wanted nothing more than to embarrass them. During Raw last week, the only video the company uploaded to YouTube was the segment with the Usos and the Revival. This might be done as a way to make sure as many fans saw the embarrassment as possible, but the exposure was still there for Dash and Dawson. WWE is also not making any merch for the Revival, but they could find their way around that as well. The segment on Raw certainly got people talking, or enough people talking about the Revival, so maybe this isn't the worst thing for their careers. Oh, it is bad. This is the worst. This is the worst portion of their career by far. But, you know, with the Revival and smart fans who are in the know about what's going on here, if WWE really wanted to fucking just get to the Revival, this is what I don't understand. You're giving them TV time. You're giving the fans a laugh at the Revival's expense. Once is okay. Twice is okay. The more happens, if you're going to make a regular thing out of this weekly, fans are going to get upset. Fans are going to say enough is enough. Fans are going to eventually side with the Revival. Fans are going to be claiming for the Revival's release, treat them better. They'll be treated better in AEW. You know, then you're going to get AEW involved, and it's just going to snowball from there. If WWE really wanted to say, fuck the Revival, literally, keep them off of television. Keep them off of television. Simple. Don't put them on TV. Don't put them in TV matches that last 2 or 3 minutes to have them lose, because they're still getting TV time. You know of the Revival. If you don't want the Revival to have any value at all, your best bet is to keep them off of television and bury them that way. Where are they? Who are they? Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. Oh, the Revival. Fuck them. But now that you're giving them TV time, this is a perfect situation for everything that WWE is doing to backfire on them. And I hope it does. I don't know how many situations they're going to put them in to embarrass them. I don't know what else they got up their sleeve. But if the Revival play this out and they are troopers about this, it might end up working out in the end for them. So we'll see what happens, man. I don't care either way. I know I am in the know about this. I don't give a fuck. You know, it doesn't faze me at all. It fazed me back in the day, a couple months ago when WWE, you know, buried them on TV against Rude and Gable. And then they asked for their release, wondering why they asked for their release. We knew why. Because WWE doesn't focus on tag team wrestling. WWE doesn't give a shit about tag team wrestling. And I feel that then I was angry. Now I am more open to it. I just don't care. It's in one ear and out the other with these guys. They're eventually going to leave. WWE is showing them that they have no value. I hope it backfires on them. WWE is going to let these guys go after their contracts are up. They're not signing a new deal. They're going to go right into AEW. They're going to burn the fucking building down against the Lucha Bros or the Young Bucks. And all will be right in the world. They're going to get their revenge. Might not be now. It might be a year. But they're going to get their revenge. Don't worry. You think the Revival is going to just sit back and, whatever. They're sitting back and they're not going to get angry. They're sitting back. They're taking it on the chin like troopers. They're going to go to AEW next year and boom. When AEW is well established and they're getting better ratings than SmackDown Live and they're setting the world on fire as far as tag team wrestling goes, the Revival is going to be there and we're going to get the match and the feud and the title match that we all want. Believe me. Creative writer responsible for Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss WrestleMania feud wins an Emmy Award. I was shocked when I heard this. Man, if she can only write as good to win a fucking award for her wrestling writing. Creative writer responsible for Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, man. Holy shit, that is god-awful. Former WWE writer Jen Pepperman brought home the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Directing in a digital drama series. This was a very cool deal. And Nia Jax sent out a big congratulations to her former co-worker while revealing that Pepperman was also responsible for a majority of her WrestleMania build with Alexa Bliss. That would make Jen Pepperman fucking garbage as a WWE writer, because that feud was fucking miserable. Nia Jax says, yay! So well deserved at Jen Pepperman. This woman is a huge voice for us. Was the main writer for the storyline I did with Alexa Bliss leading up to WrestleMania 34. Jen is so incredibly talented. I am beyond happy for her. Yay, Pepperman. If you remember that angle, it included some Mean Girls segments that eventually saw Nia Jax going off on her bully, Alexa Bliss. Please, I have to rethink about this and fucking relive that again, and it was so god-awful. It was terrible. Jax walked away from WrestleMania after defeating her former best friend for the title. So what did Jen Pepperman do? Jen Pepperman gets big backstage heat before Monday Night Raw. Now, I don't know why they said in the previous report that she was a former writer. I'm assuming that she's not with the company now after this situation. So, it was reported that Pepperman showed up to Raw Productions meeting and she brought the Emmy Award with her. Then she placed it down on the table right in front of her since WWE never won an Emmy Award. But they want to so badly, this caused some immediate heat backstage. Some people zinged her about this Emmy Award, the fact that she brought it, but she figured it was a joke. It was reported that this heat was thought to have caused, or it was actually caused by her blind arrogance. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that this was a very naive move to do in a room full of wrestling people who have never been considered for such an award. Michael Hayes told her to put the Emmy Award away, and apparently Pepperman bringing her Emmy along for the trip to Cincinnati was a hot conversation backstage. However, Vince McMahon didn't seem to care much about what she did because he had more important matters to deal with. Vince just laughed it off because he was so busy making changes, but otherwise it was the talk backstage. People congratulated her backstage about the Emmy win, and she's apparently well-liked backstage. However, bringing her award to work might not have been the best way to gain any favor with WWE. It is also said that Pepperman flew commercial to the Raw tapings, and her award was with her on the plane. It is okay to be proud of your accomplishments. It is another thing to throw your accomplishments in people's faces, especially people like WWE, who don't have any talent and will never come close to winning said award. There's something about being humble. What I would have did is, if I won an Emmy Award and I'm on the fucking Raw production team, I'm keeping the fucking thing at home or in the hotel room. Why is it any of anybody else's business that you won a fucking Emmy Award? You know? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Now, I look at it that way. I would have kept it in the hotel room. I would have kept it at home. But WWE, they got to make a big deal out of everything. Oh, why is she bringing the Emmy Award to work? Are you jealous? What difference does it make if she brought the Emmy Award to work in your eyes? You have a job to do. She has a job to do. The award is going to make you upset for the rest of your duration at work that day? I'm more upset that she wrote the Alexa Bliss Nia Jax storyline. Awful. Now we know who's responsible. Fucking people in WWE ridiculous, man. But, I mean, there's something about being humble. You don't need to show off your accomplishments. Let them speak for you. Let your work speak for itself. Fucking Christ. People in this company are just out of their mind. And I'm getting the fuck out of here. I've been here for too long, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the podcast. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. If you guys want to support via the Patreon page. Make sure you guys check out Harry's. Harry's.com/script. JD's Elites. Make sure you guys go and get your t-shirt. Bonfire.com. Link is down in the description of this very video. And check out this week's videos, man. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT, and Off the Script Extra talking about Goldberg's opponent in Saudi Arabia and Becky Lynch saying Sasha Banks can't hack it in the WWE. We got more to come tomorrow. Major AEW news. Their TV deal is all but confirmed. Show to air on TNT in the fall. The deal is virtually done. AEW makes major changes to the Battle Royale that will take place at Double or Nothing. All Elite signs 2 former Lucha Underground talents. Rhino explains how WWE wanted to give him money to sit home and do nothing. And WWE forces a match between Toni Storm and Bea Priestley to be canceled because of AEW implications. Also news on Luke Harper and WWE giving Luke Harper the runaround in his WWE release. Thank you guys so very much for all your support. I'm getting out of here. Again, hit that thumbs up, and I will see you right back here for part 2 of episode 273 right here on Off the Script. Until then, guys, thank you so very much. Enjoy your Fridays, and I'll see you right back here on Saturday for more OTS. I'll talk to you later.